Welcome back to RGR TV. I decided to make this video today, talk a little bit about my battery setup. If you're like myself and have a small boat, fish horsepower restricted lakes, in my case 20 horsepower, you might be looking for that, a little bit of weight savings, gain a little bit of top end speed. Now I know what you're thinking, that's an awful lot of money to spend to gain a little bit of top end speed. But I will have to say, it's the positives of these batteries that outweigh the negatives that make them worth every penny. See what I did there? Positive, negatives, it's a battery video. I know I'm not a comedian, I won't quit my day job. Of course, I don't have a day job, so joke's on you. Anyway, enough screwing around. I'm going to talk about my setup, the lithium battery first, which is what I'm running my trolling motor on. Whenever I bought my Tracker Pro 170, it came with a Minn Kota Edge 45 pound thrust motor. And right away, I'm like, that's not going to be big enough. No way. But I will have to say, my first trip out, which was rather windy, it did pretty good. Handled the boat fine. Until about hour 6. And then it just didn't have the cojones anymore to buck the wind, even whenever I had the speed set to 5. Actually, 5 was more like 3 and 4 at that point. But it wasn't the trolling motor's fault. It was the lead acid batteries that probably after that amount of time lost 30 to 40% of their charge and just didn't have as much zip anymore. This is a 12 volt 100 amp hour battery, and so far, and I've fished probably almost 8 hours on a windy day, and I haven't had this quit on me. I honestly don't even know how it quits. I assume it's just done like any lithium battery, but again, I haven't experienced it yet. So as far as runtime, it does great, and you get the same amount of power output to your trolling motor 5 minutes into the trip or 8 hours and 5 minutes into the trip. No difference. So it basically made the trolling motor, just feel more powerful. Even though it wasn't, it wasn't getting sluggish as the day went on. So yeah, absolutely highly recommend the lithium batteries. I was considering, before I bought this battery, a Lowrance Ghost trolling motor, which would require me to buy more batteries, but, we're talking like, pushing $4,000. I get out the door with this battery, and I did buy a charger. I wasn't going to buy a cheap Walmart Schumacher and put on a $1,000 battery, but I get out the door around $1,200 for that setup. Now, as far as my starting deep cycle battery, I swapped my heavy 24 series lead acid battery out for this AGM Odyssey Extreme PC680. That weighs 13 pounds. Oh, before I forget, that weighs 31 pounds, I think. So you probably thought I was going to drop that. So yeah, you're not going to do that with a lead acid battery, one hand. Well, you might be able to, but I'm 135 pounds soaking wet, so I ain't going to. But yeah, super light. This setup saved like 50 pounds, from what I was running, which, is a considerable amount of weight. Now, I think this is around 170 cold cranking amps. Starts my 20 horsepower 4-stroke outboard, no issues. But the Odyssey Extreme batteries have like a 5-second pulse, where the cranking amps are like double of what the normal cold cranking amps are. So they got that going for them. It doesn't take longer than 5 seconds to start up your outboard. I will have to say though, I got into night fishing this past summer. Check that largemouth out. Say I get on the water around 7 o'clock, turn both Lowrance TI 2 units on. I have a 9-inch and a 7-inch. Lights on around 9:30. By 2-3 o'clock in the morning, about 6 hours, I was down into the low 11 volts with this battery. And however, the lowest I hit, I think one morning, was 11.2, but it still started my outboard. I don't know if I'm harming it by doing that, but I'm right on the edge of needing a little more reserve capacity. This one only has 16 amp hours, They make a PC925, which I've been looking at, has 28 amp hours, so almost double the capacity, although it does weigh 26 pounds, double the weight of this one, so there is that. As far as the charger goes, this one has the lithium ion setting, and for the AGM battery, I charge it on the high 14.7. I think the manufacturer calls for around 15 volt charge on this one, so that's what I've been doing. Now, I store my boat in an underground storage over the winter, so I pull the batteries, bring them inside, get them up off the concrete, warm, dry, and once a month I put them both on the charger until it hits the storage mode, and that's pretty much it of maintenance. Once they're back in the boat, they're being charged probably a couple times a week, so which is another benefit. You get way more duty cycles out of these batteries, like double charge, drawdown, repeat, than you would of a lead acid batteries. You're not going to have to replace them as often. Are they worth the extra money? Absolutely. I'd never go back to a lead acid battery. And you save some weight as well, gain a little top end speed, and who knows, you might be able to go up a pitch in your prop and go a little faster. That's my setup. If you have any questions about either one of these batteries, leave me a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you later.